Hey everybody, hope you're having an awesome day. I know I'm having an awesome day. It's a great day. It's nice and quiet in here right now. So, um, so it's a perfect time to do a video, and I thought I would give you a little talk today versus cooking anything or demonstrating anything else or doing your reviews. But I did want to ask you to do me a favor. Can you give me a thumbs up and the likes? It really helped me a lot on YouTube. Also, can you subscribe down below? Hit that little bell icon. Thumbs up, subscribe, bell icon. That would be great. That would really, really help me out. I'd really, really appreciate it. So today's topic, I thought I would just talk quickly about. I've heard some people talking different things about it, and I thought it was a little bit controversial. I don't think it's that controversial, but I'll probably have some people comment. And it's really comparing: are we doing net carbs or total carbs? Which one's better? Which one's better for you? And so I thought I would just talk a little bit about that and my thoughts around it. And these are just my thoughts, right? Like, so I'm not a professional. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a medical person. I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts. I will tell you that in my weight journey and in my health journey, I have always done net carbs. For the 3 years I've been doing it, I dropped about 50 pounds. Right now, I've gone from the 240s down into the 190s, and I mean the 190 range, and floating right around there because it's where I felt comfortable. That's where the doctor said I was good, and my body seemed to be good. I started doing keto because my doctor told me that I was pre-diabetic and high blood pressure, and that I was going to have to start going on medication, and I was going to have to start doing all kinds of stuff, and I didn't want to do that. And he said, well, you know, you can, if you lose some weight and get into shape, you could avoid all that. And so he said, I would suggest you do keto, and you do a clean version of it. He actually likes the Mediterranean style keto, if you're interested in hearing more about that. But that's really what he got me started on that. I have always tracked net carbs, so I will say that just as a disclaimer. But I have been hearing a lot of people talking about it and whether it's good or bad. I will notice that I've seen a lot more lately of companies coming out promoting net carbs on keto-friendly products, which I would question whether they're truly keto-friendly. I know that you should really learn to read a label and understand it, what you're buying. But what is a net carb? So net carb, so this is off of the back of one of the labels of one of the products I have. So this is really just off of a granola, keto granola. So it says that it's 11 carbs, total carbs, 3 dietary fiber, and I'll talk a little bit about what dietary fiber is, and then 5 sugar alcohols, leaving it 3 net carbs. So that's what I track, is 3 net carbs, and I try to stay right around 20. Again, I'm more in the maintenance mode. So generally I do have probably more cheat meals than I did originally, or I should say I stay kind of in that keto lane, but I may eat more carbs someday of keto stuff than others. But generally I stay under 20, and that keeps my weight pretty consistent where I am. I fluctuate up a couple pounds, down a couple pounds, but it's all been good. So that's basically what a net carb is. So some interesting things. So I am going to talk about, well, what is a carb, right? So first, a carb is anything that's starchy, dietary, sugary, right? So when you digest it, it turns into glucose, and then of course, as it turns into glucose, your body burns it, and what it doesn't need for fuel, it stores for later, thinking that you'll need it later on. And then there's really kind of two kind of carbs. There's a simple carb and a complex carb, and the simple carbs are the fruits and the sodas and the desserts and those type of things, maple syrup, molasses, and then of course the complex carbs are more like the grains and the rices and that kind of stuff, the whole grains, beans, legumes. So those are all the type of things that we would call complex carbs. So realistically, when you start looking at the dietary fiber is that fiber or that part of the total carbs that your body does not digest, and it just passes through you. So in other words, you eat big dinner tonight and it's 10 carbs and 5 of it are dietary, 5 of them are dietary fiber. Those are the ones that are going to be coming out of you in the morning when you get up after you have your coffee. How do I say? That's the best way I guess I could say it. So those are the dietary fibers that your body's not going to break down and not digest. So they're just going to pass right through you, right? And then of course, sugars, sugar alcohols. Again, most of those now, they kind of teeter on that realm, whether your body will digest or not. So, most of the sugar alcohol your body will not digest, but some will, right? So I just kind of want you to remember that. Not sugar alcohols are not all. I got some notes here that I'm reading off of. So you see me looking down. That's what I'm doing. So some of the sugar alcohols are not created equal, right? So sugar alcohols, and I know every sugar alcohol, we always take them off. At least I always take them off when I'm reading the label. And it says sugar alcohol, whatever it is, I minus it from the carbs. Well, if you really do some research on it, and I'm going to put the links down below on some of the stuff that I'm looking at, and I'll talk a little bit deeper about the sugar alcohols as well too, and go into some of them if you want. But real quick, like sugar alcohols like erythritol, actually your body does not digest it and it goes right through you, so you don't count it as a carb. But there's others out there that your body treats it just like sugar and has no difference. It causes insulin spikes and causes you to create glucose and makes your body react just like it has sugar. So one of those things is maltodextrin and saccharose that you'll see. And a couple of other things. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So just your body does not treat those equally. So the question is, should you really take those sugar alcohols off if you're measuring net carbs versus even if you're measuring total carbs? One of the things I will say is that realistically, there's no definition of a net carb other than what the food industry has told us and taught us. And these are the same folks that have helped us go from fit folks to being fairly obese and putting all kinds of stuff in our foods to help us to keep the food industry going. So the food industry has created this net carb so that they could create foods and continue to feed them out to us. And not everyone. So I will say there's a lot of really, really good companies out there that are really, really truthful and giving us really good products and doing stuff that is truly good for us. And if they're putting erythritol and other sweeteners, monk fruit, and some of the other ones in there, they're doing us a favor because those are really good for us, right? But so it's just important that you think that the food industry is the one that's created this whole net carb thing for us. Other things, I don't know whether you know it, they call them net carbs, active carbs, impact carbs. Those are things I didn't know because I always called them net carbs. But there's other parts of the world and or other parts of the country, and then they have different terminologies for it. So those are just a couple of them. There's no regulation on net carbs because there's no such thing, right? So the FDA does not regulate net carbs whatsoever. So if somebody's putting a net carb on a label, they can put anything they want on there, and the FDA has no jurisdiction or doesn't really care. The only thing that they measure on a label is they measure the total carbs, they measure the dietary fiber, and the amount of sugar that's in it. Those are the only 3 things that they're actually measuring on that label. So if it says net carbs somewhere on that package or on that label, it could be a totally fictitious number and they're making it up. Same with sugar alcohols. There's nowhere that they have to show that they put that much sugar alcohol in it or that little. So they could put almost anything on a label and there's no checking and there's no really anybody to make sure that that's the truth. It's just something to keep in mind. You kind of think about it, and so that opens up a lot of, if a company wanted to, it could open up a lot of gray area for them to see whether they want to put a net carb in there. And so I'm going to give you an example of So these are Splendas. I took one of these from my work. Here we go. So if you look on here and you look at the ingredients on here, because this is a zero calorie, right? So you think, oh, 0 calorie, it's got to be 0 carbs. Well, guess what? It has dextrose in it. It's got the maltodextrin in it, and it's got saccharose in it. So it's got three artificial sweeteners that are really, really cheap. I don't know whether you can see that. It's really small. Yeah, the camera's not going to focus on it. So it's really, really small. But realistically, this has 1 carb in it. So because of those ingredients in it act just like glucose, like regular sugar. So they create glucose and they cause you to gain weight, right? So if you're stalling out, look at the ingredients. If you have any of those that are listed on the back of this and you're eating them in your stuff and they put them in food because it's cheap. So just think of it. So dietary fiber is just the diet, like I said, it's stuff that just passes through you. Let's see. There's a glucose index that you can look at. I'm going to put a link down below, and then if you look through the literature, there's going to be a link in there for it. So you can go at it, and it will tell you all the different sugar alcohols and how they compare to regular sugar and whether they cause spikes in your blood or not. So take a look at that. One of the things before, just to give you an example, and like again, I've done net carbs and I've done them pretty successfully. I've lost my weight. I've been doing maintenance on them. So there's no big deal about it, right? But other people are saying that they're having trouble, they're stalling, they're not losing weight. Well, maybe it's because they're trying to measure net carbs and they need to look at total carbs. Some people are that way. I've talked to others that have said they can only lose weight if they're doing total carbs. So it may be something you want to look at. So these are high-key cookies, right? Chocolate chip cookies. I love these things. These are things that are really, really good. They're dangerous. They're so good, right? And the good thing, they're only in a little bag. They are expensive, but they're only in a little bag. So if I look at this 1 serving, there's 2 servings in this bag. So if I eat this whole bag, if I look at it, it's 24 grams of total carbs, right? So it has 4 dietary fiber, and it has 18 grams of erythritol sugar alcohol in it. So that means that this whole bag is only 2 net carbs. So I can eat this, and if I'm doing 20 carbs, and I eat this is 1/10 of my carbs for the day. That's no big deal. So it's a great little snack with lunch or in the car or wherever. But if I'm doing total carbs and I look at this thing, I don't know whether you can see it. So, but I'm doing total carbs on this thing, and it's 24 carbs. That's more than 50% of my carbs for the day. So you think about it. So net carbs, it's 1/10 of my carbs. Total carbs, it's more than 50% of my carbs. So what it does is, if you're struggling sometimes, and sometimes I think people eat too many sweets, too many keto snacks, and they get caught up in that whole the sugar alcohol. And realistically, sugar alcohol has never been consumed in the quantities and the amount that it has been in probably the last 10 years. So people are still not really quite sure of the long-term effects of the sugar alcohol on our body. Most of them, like I said, like the erythritol and the monk fruit, they kind of just pass through you. They're pretty sure, but there's other ones, like I say, the dextrose and the saccharose, where they're not really sure because your body does digest them and it doesn't just pass through you. So they treat it as sugar. So they're not really sure. So it really helps cut you down on some of the things you're doing. Here's Catalina Crunch. I really love these. I probably eat this a couple times a week with a little bit of almond milk in it. And I will tell you, so total carbs is 14 total carbs, 9 dietary fiber, and then no sugar alcohol in it, no sugar at all. So realistically, it's 5 net carbs in this, but realistically, if I was measuring total carbs, it would be 14. So you may want to think twice before you have a bowl of this versus eating some eggs or something else that's a little more wholesome, a little more natural. So it does force you to start thinking about what you're eating and really checking the label. Also, it's kind of a little bit easier because I'm not sitting there going, oh, let's see, 14 minus the 9 minus whatever the sugar alcohol is, and that's what, you just look at it, no, it's 14, so it is a little bit easier. So just the kind of a heads up, and that's really one of the big things about doing total carbs versus net carbs. It really helps you cut down on some of the sugar alcohols. So again, I'm just going to really briefly touch. So stevia, right, is a good one. Saccharose is something that it's an artificial sweetener. It's in a lot of stuff because of the fact it's really, really cheap, but your body treats it as a sugar. So you may want to think about it. Again, maltodextrin is another one that your body treats as sugar. Dextrose is another one your body treats as sugar. So if it has those things in it, you may want to minus the sugar alcohol in them, or measure just half of the sugar alcohol in your net carbs. Erythritol, goes right through you, like I said. One of the better ones. Xylitol is another one that actually goes through you. It's something that I've never really tried or anything else. Monk fruit, I eat a lot of. So monk fruit is good. It doesn't have a bad aftertaste. So it's really, really good. Some of the bad ones, like I said, maltodextrin, honey, coconut sugars. So people think, oh, well, you sugar, coconuts for MTC, coconut milk, coconut cream. Coconut sugar is different, right? So it is a sugar, right? So those are just some of the things I wanted to point out. So I'm not going to tell you what's better, whether total carbs is better than net carbs. I do net carbs. I've been successful at it, but I have been tracking them on my tracker for a while. I will tell you that I try to make sure I hit my proteins, hit my fats, and stay under my carbs. And when I do those three, I generally if I was measuring total carbs, I would be staying under my total carbs. Now, when I'm going over on my fats or I'm going over on my protein, generally I would be going over on my carbs. So it's kind of one of those things where you got to really balance it out, because to hit my protein and to hit my fat, I generally got to probably be eating something that's pretty wholesome and pretty good for you. So, a piece of meat, a piece of fish, something of that nature. So I'm getting something good. And it's not high calories, but yet, it's helping with my protein. So it's just something to think about when you're doing that. So if you're going to do net carbs, make sure you're trying to track and make sure you're following that rule about trying to hit your proteins, trying to hit your fats, and then staying under your 20 carbs if you're trying to lose weight. If you're trying to maintain, then you may go over every now and then or have a cheat meal a little more often than not. So something to think about. Let me know in the comments down below whether you do net carbs or total carbs. I'd really appreciate that. And again, thumbs up. Please subscribe and hit that little bell icon. That would be greatly appreciated. Hey, tell me what you'd like to see. More videos coming up. You tell me what you would like to see, and I'll try to accommodate. Comment down below, and I'll try to make sure that it happens for you. More information, you have a question or something that you think I can answer, let me know, and I'll try to do a video on that as well to try to give you an answer. Again, I will put the information with the links down so you can actually, if you want to look at the research or you want to look at some of the papers that I looked at, get some more information. Sorry, I kind of made this go a lot longer than I thought. I don't know, I guess I talk more than I think I talk. I don't know, sorry. But I'm not sure how the other guys do it in 10 minutes. So. But take a look at this and check it out and let me know what you think, all right? Hey, I know you guys are awesome. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.